and academic success. So what I intend, I'm going to go through a few slides. I'm going to go through it briefly just to touch on certain things that he said that would like to be discussed. But the main aim would be to have an open discussion, or if you have any questions to ask me, if you have any concerns, or if you're, let's say, struggling with something or trying to figure it out and you're okay to like share, and I can see how I can help or how we can brainstorm together. So I'm going to try and keep to time. The slot for this session is an hour. So I'm going to try and do it within an hour, just go through over my slides quickly. But if I'm too quick, if I'm too slow, or if you want me to repeat something or focus on something more, please feel free to let me know. Is that okay? So I'm just going to share my screen.
Hello, Miss Kemi. Hello.
She's muted.
Oh, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, and can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. I don't know of the other, but I'm sure they should be able to as well.
Wait 1 second.
Um, I think Jonathan was trying to say something. Jonathan.
Yeah, I just wanted to inform her I'll be moderating. So as and when, just so she's aware. Hello,
Yes,
Miss Kemi.
yes. Hilary
Yeah.
just informed me. So.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to share my screen now, and then you could see. Okay, can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so in today's session, the objectives I'm just going to be focusing on is what is mental health, what is needed for academic success, why caring for your mental health impacts academic success, and just to go over time management and stress management, so some techniques that you can use for this. And I'll leave the floor open for you guys to ask any questions that you want to ask me. So when we talk about well-being, I'm sure you guys have heard this term many a times. But well-being basically is just the state of being comfortable, the state of being healthy and being happy. So from the word well-being, you can have the word wellness from them. So it's just the act of being well. And when we talk about mental health is a division of our well-being. So when we're looking at well-being, there are different elements and different aspects to our well-being. That could be our social well-being, our physical well-being, our financial well-being, our spiritual well-being, our emotional well-being. There's so many elements to our well-being. So well-being is like an umbrella term, just to describe our complete wellness. And one of those divisions of our well-being is our mental health. So, mental health is the division of our well being, which focuses on three main things pretty much: how we're feeling, so our emotions, how we're thinking, so that is our cognitive function, and how we act, which is our behavior. And when we link that to academic success, so I guess success or like academic wellness can be interpreted differently for everybody. But when we talk about academic success, that's more so like keeping on top of your studies, making sure that you're learning, getting good grades, and just having a well-rounded balance. And being in university, I think one thing you probably all could relate to is that regardless of sorry, what year you're in, whether you're in 100 level, 200 level, whether you're in final year, whatever it is, it can be stressful. It can be a lot to balance and it can be a lot to juggle as well, especially if you want to have a personal life or if you want to have a social life. But when we talk about academic success, some of the core ingredients, I would say, I would like to summarize it too, that we're trying to do well in our studies would be the ability to focus and to have attention. So being able to concentrate on whatever it is that we're learning, whatever it is we're doing, whatever it is we're studying, to be able to store what it is that we're learning. So that has to do with our memory. So not only storing it, but to be able to remember when we need to remember, to be able to apply to other areas of our lives. And mental clarity, which has to do with understanding, because it's one thing to learn, is one thing to be in university, but is another thing to actually understand what it is you're being taught, because you could just learn, you could decide to memorize what you're doing just to pass the exam, but you may not even understand what it is you're learning or what you're doing or how to apply what it is that you're learning in real life. So these, I would say, would form part of the core things for you to be able to succeed in your academics. And it's not just about getting the good grades, it's actually about education. So being able to educate yourself and just being able to do well. And with that being said, with academic success, that really links to your physical health and your mental health. So if you remember early on when I said your well-being is broken down into different fragments, so your physical health, mental health, spiritual health, emotional health, and all of that, the question is, how does this relate to you doing well in school? So when it comes to your mental health, that has to do with how I said before, how you're feeling, how you're acting, how you're thinking, and that a lot has to do with your brain. And your brain is an organ, which is it's emotional and it's physical. So the way you would take care of parts of your physical body. So when it comes to well-being, a lot of us tend to focus more on our physical health. So we do things like exercise or what we're eating, but we don't apply that same energy, that same effort, or that same intention to other areas of our lives, like our mental health or our spiritual health or our financial health. Sometimes there's like a divide, there isn't a balance. And it's important that you make sure that, as much as possible, you're feeding each part of your well-being. So the different types of health, so like your physical, social, emotional, mental, equally, or at least paying as much attention as possible. Because when it comes to your mental health, that impacts your academics in the sense that it's also physical. And it being physical is other parts of your body, like so your lungs, when they tell you things like be careful not to smoke, or if you're smoking, like maintain how much you're smoking or how much you smoke or what you're smoking, or like how much you're drinking that has to do with your liver, or what you're eating or to move with your body. Like there's so many ailments that you can get physically, and it's the same energy or the same concept that applies to your brain, because your brain is physical and your brain is an organ. So your brain is needed for thinking, it's needed to have good memory, it's needed to process things. So if you remember the previous slide, where I was talking about the things that you need for academic success, the organ of your body that you would need for that, or that contributes to that, is your brain. So you need to care for that equally. So if you're doing things like, let's say you're not sleeping properly, you're very stressed, you're not eating well, these are nutritions and these are all benefits to your brain that you are depriving it of. And in effect, when you deprive your brain of that, of those things that it needs to function fully, inadvertently it's going to affect your academic success, because to get to where you need to get to academic wise, you need your brain as the organ, and your brain as the organ needs to be taken care of and treated well. And also your brain is emotional. So the emotional elements of your human being, your brain is like the emotional center. So that's where you're able to process your feelings, manage your emotions, manage your thoughts. And with academics, if what you need is to focus, if what you need is to concentrate, if what you need to do is to be able to understand things, process things, remember things, if you're in certain emotional states. So, for example, if you've gotten to a state of stress, if you've gotten to a state of burnout, if you're feeling anxious, if you're having panic attacks, the way your brain works is that because it's emotional, it's going to overpower the other elements of your body or of your functioning. And what I mean by that is, if you are stressed, your brain is going to be focusing on you being stressed. So it's going to be worked up by the stress or the worry from the stress. if you're feeling anxious, for example, your brain is going to be more so diverted towards trying to mediate the anxiousness, but it's going to be focusing on whatever you're anxious about or whatever you're worrying about, as opposed to if you're, for example, in a lecture and you're anxious, your body or your brain is going to be divided into being anxious as opposed to being able to remember what your lecturer is saying or what you're reading or your ability to concentrate. If you're feeling burnt out, for example, so that is you have worked yourself up a lot and you're now starting to feel very exhausted, your brain is going to feel that as well. And when you're supposed to, let's say, write an essay, study for an exam, prepare for something, you're going to be so exhausted that that is what your brain is going to be focusing on predominantly, and you're then going to lack motivation to do the things that you need to do. So, just to kind of like summarize what I'm trying to say is your brain carries your physical part and your emotional part, and the more you feed it with the good things, the more you'd be able to do the things that you need. So, you'd be able to focus, you'd be able to have good memory, you'd be able to process things. The more you do what is needed, the more you're able to benefit more from it. I hope that makes a bit of sense. I'm just going to stop there for now and just make sure that everybody is following through with what I'm saying. And I haven't confused anyone before I continue. Should I go ahead?
Yes,
Yes,
please. So I
please.
think we'll take questions once you are done. So maybe we can all put down our questions in the meantime.
Okay, no problem. So I'm going to continue. So that essentially is why you should care for your physical health, which in effect is also caring for your mental health, or which is overall caring for your well-being. So they all have an interplay with each other to in a nutshell. So the next part that I wanted to cover was in terms of time management and organization. So to be able to manage your time better, you're able to care for yourself more and you're able to reduce any stress that is coming from work, from family, from your personal life, and whatever it is. Because I think as a student, what people forget is that you also have a life, you're also a person. Like, yes, they tell you go to school, go to university, but you're also trying to find yourself, you're also trying to be social, you're also trying to like get to know different people, you're dating. There's so many things that are going on and it's like you're torn between how am I going to balance this element of my own life, my own personal life versus my education. And some of the ways that I would recommend doing that, and just as a way to care for your mental health in general and your overall well-being, besides what we all know in terms of making sure that you're getting enough sleep, making sure that you're eating well, making sure that you're exercising or that you're moving your body. Some of the things that I would recommend to help manage your time so you're able to balance things easily is to create a timetable. So I know with university, they already give you like a timetable. You already know what lectures you're going to have on which day and what's not. But it might also be helpful to create a timetable for your own self. So beyond what your lecturer is giving you to do or beyond the schedules of your lectures. So create a timetable of it doesn't have to be rigid. And I don't know if you guys do this, but I think it's done as well in Ghana. A lot of African homes do this where you create a timetable for like what you're going to eat, what you have for breakfast, what you have for lunch, what you have for dinner. You can just apply the same concepts to, okay, this is what I want to do today, or this is what I'm going to do with my Mondays, this is what I'm going to do with my Tuesdays. You can decide, let's say, a day on Friday, like Fridays, that day of the week, you don't touch any of your lectures, you don't do anything. Like, just make it in a way that makes sense, but also incorporates what you have to do in school, but also your personal life. Another way I would say is to make deadlines for yourself. So, for example, let's say you have an essay due on the I would say on today's the 19th of July. Let's say you have an essay due on I don't know, 5th of August, for example. You can create deadlines for yourself in the sense that you can say, okay, by the 1st of August or by the 2nd of August, I want to make sure that I've done this essay. And it's not a case of I know some people prefer to work last minute or just do an all-nighter, which if that works for you, that works for you. But it's also good that you're able to like pre-plan ahead. So if you're saying, okay, I'm going to submit this essay or I'm going to have majority or 70% of it done by the 2nd of August, for example, you can then say, okay, for these 3 days, I'm going to use this time to rest, or I'm going to use this time to party, or I'm going to use this time to do whatever it is that you want to do. It's not just about being ahead, it's just so that you're able to create time and accommodate for other things in your life as well. What I would also say is to take breaks and to space out your work. So it's similar to making deadlines. If you're able to plan yourself well and you're able to create a timetable for yourself, you're able to have breaks in your timetable and you're able to do your work in a way that it's not very overwhelming, because going to university in itself is overwhelming no matter what anybody wants to say, because you're juggling so many lectures together, you're juggling so many modules, so many courses. And I think sometimes one lecturer thinks they're the only lecturer that you go to, or like they're the only course that you do, which is not the case. You have so many other things to balance. So just able to like take breaks when you can and just space your work out well, like just really sitting down and creating a timetable that accommodates for everything. That's very helpful. And what I would also suggest or recommend is to schedule time for yourself. And what I mean by that is when we are in university, we tend to just look more so for, okay, it's like a tick list, like, okay, I've done this lecture, I've copied this note, I've done this revision, I've done this, I've done that. But we don't always tend to say, okay, let me intentionally put time for my own self too in the timetable. Of course, you do things like you say, okay, I'm going to go and eat at this time, or I'm going to go and sleep at this time, or I'm going to watch this movie, or I'm going to go for this party, or I'm going to go to church, whatever it is that you're doing. But there's also time for yourself where you can actually now decide, okay, now I'm free. This is free time for me. And what is it that I want to do in this time? So creating time for yourself that is beyond an obligation or beyond something that you typically do. So just doing something that's very different. And just to kind of work through the same thing is going through to how to deal with stress and how to cope with stress. What I would also recommend is sometimes just doing the work. So if you know that you want to go and enjoy yourself, or you want to go and do something that is completely different to the work you're supposed to be doing. And if you're doing that, you're still thinking about the amount of work that you have to do at the back of your mind. I always recommend to just go and do the work, because yes, you're not doing the work, but if you're thinking about the work, you're not even able to rest or like enjoy the time that you're having. So you might as well just do the work, get it out of the way with, and then go on to what you're doing. I think it's important to be very considerate and compassionate to yourself, but sometimes we have to be tough on ourselves. And at the end of the day, it's university to university. Sometimes we just have to like focus, do what we have to do, even when we don't want to do it, and then move on to the next thing. I would also say having a community. So having people that you can talk to, or going to like visit friends. So when work is getting too overwhelming or it's getting too stressful, to be able to have a set of people that you can go to. And it may not only ever have to be friends. So obviously you have the Life Beacon community. You also have like maybe a church you can go to, a mosque that you can go to, maybe an activity that you can do. It doesn't always have to be with people that you know, but just something to do, making that conscious effort that actually I'm a human being. I only have one life. University is not going to kill me. I'm going to stop today and I'm going to do something else. Another thing I would recommend to help with stress is to journal and to document your life. So journaling is you pretty much writing down how you're feeling and writing down how your thoughts. That's also a distressor. And also documenting your life in the sense that take pictures when you can take pictures, take videos when you can take videos. I know sometimes when things are very tough, the last thing you want to do is document something, or it may just not look as pretty or as nice as you like, or you may not be in that headspace. But it's also important to always capture it, because when you're in a better space, you could always look back at it and be like, oh, this is how far that I have come. And you don't only have to be in a better space, you could even still be in a place where you're very overwhelmed, you're very stressed out, you're very worked up. But if you're able to look back at the previous videos, pictures, journal entries that you have made, you're able to then say, oh, wow, I remember this time when I thought the world was coming to an end because of XYZ, but it didn't come to an end and I overcame that. So that's another way. Talk to people that you can trust. Don't suffer in silence. Everyone around you, most people around you are in university or have been in university or have been through something very tough or trying. Another way is if you have people that are your course mates, feel free to like ask questions. I know sometimes some people prefer to just do things by themselves. They don't want to disturb anybody and all of that. But a lot of times, if your mouth is shut, you're not going to get fed. And I think another way that I would say is always make time for enjoyment, whatever enjoyment is to you, whether that is going out, whether that's going to eat, whether that's going to have ice cream, whether that's going for a walk, whether that's listening to music, whatever it is to you, make sure that you do something at least once a week or at least once every 2 weeks that makes you happy that you wouldn't normally do. And it doesn't have to be anything that is expensive, anything that is pricey or anything like that. Just make sure that you are prioritizing you to a certain degree. I know everybody comes from different backgrounds and has different obligations and all of that. You may have responsibility back at home, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, we are all our own individuals as well, and you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you're going to drain yourself, I don't see the point because the better, the healthier you are, the better your mental health is, the better your mind frame is, your state of mind is, the more you're able to offer the world, the more that you're able to do academically, the more you're able to concentrate, the more you're able to focus. So that's pretty much it. And I'm going to dive into questions.
All right. Thank you very much, Miss Kemi, for this insightful presentation. Um, I'm sure we have all picked up some valuable lessons and practical tips. So at this point, we would open the floor for questions and comments. So please, if we have any question or we would want to share thoughts, we can kindly drop it in the chat box or maybe feel free to unmute and then speak. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes. So I want to ask, you did mention that there are times you get anxious and tense because of pressure and all that. So what
Mhm.
if you're in a lecture hall and then you start getting, let's say flashbacks, or you start getting flashbacks or something that is really worrying you, but
Mhm.
you need to be present in the lecture hall. You're trying so hard to be present, but like you still get distracted by things you're not supposed to be thinking about. How do you get out of that phase and then actually concentrate on what you're doing?
Okay, so there are different ways to go about that, depending on the first question would always be, and you may not have a direct answer, but it's more so why are you like what is the source of you being anxious or why have you started getting distracted all of a sudden? And if you know what that thing is, then it's a case of okay, we have to walk backwards and deal with it. But if it's a case whereby you're not able to like get up from the lecture to go and solve what it is or to like sit down with yourself, there are a few things that you can do. So if you're in the lecture hall and you don't want to get up and you're still feeling very, very distracted, you can do some grounding techniques. So one of the things that you can do is you can start breathing in. So start being cautious of your breathing. So we're all breathing right now, but you can take like some deep breaths, inhale, and then exhale, and then you can do it for like 60 seconds. So you're just focusing on the fact that, okay, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out for like 60 seconds just to calm you down. Because what's making you anxious might not disappear right there and then, but just at least calm you down and focus as much as you possibly can in that lecture. Another thing that you can do is you can do the 5 4 3 2 1 technique. So you could decide that, okay, as I'm feeling very anxious or I'm feeling panicky or being distracted, you can now start, it's based around the five senses, and you can do it in whichever order that you want to do it in. you can do, okay, I'm going to think about 5 things that I'm able to see around me. So if you're in a lecture hall, you can say, okay, 1, I can see my lecturer. 2, I can see my classmates. 3, I can see the ceiling. 4, I can see the board. 5, I can see this. And then you can then move to 4 things, for example, that you can hear, 3 things that you can smell, 2 things that you can touch, and just you can do it in whichever way you want to do it. It's just a thing of the 5 senses, just to calm you down in that very moment. But if this is something that keeps on happening continuously, I would recommend that you speak to someone about it. I'd also recommend like sitting down and writing down how you're feeling to get to the root cause of what the issue is, and just pretty much realizing that, okay, I'm going to take it a day at a time. But the first thing is to always think back to, okay, why am I feeling this way? Like reflecting, and sometimes journaling helps you to do that. So reflecting and just think in your own spare time, because you might not have the time to do this in the actual lecture, but just thinking through, okay, why am I feeling this way? What's making me feel this way? What's the worst that can happen? What's the best that can happen? I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, you
Did I
did.
answer your
Thank you
question?
very. Yes, please, you did. Thank you.
Okay. Do you have a follow-up question, or was that okay? Sorry, I think I just gave you so many things at once.
I think it's okay. The follow up questions are also answered, so I think it's okay. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Does anyone have any more other questions?
So mine is not really a question, but I just wanted you to throw more light on what the wellbeing department at LBI does, and there's any services that they could, benefit from. Yes.
Okay, so with the LBI Wellbeing Department, so at the moment, so today we're having a webinar, but what we do, so within the department, we offer therapy sessions, so counseling sessions. So the sessions are free and the sessions are confidential. So if you ever needed or wanted to talk about anything, we offer a few sessions for you to come. Each session is about 50 minutes long. They're online and you're able to sit, you're able to talk about maybe things that are bothering you, things you're worried about, even good things as well. It's pretty much therapy and counseling. So we offer that in LBI for free. So that is the wellbeing department at the moment.
All right. Thank you. And okay, but how do they access the services? Is it like a link available on the website that they could explore, or they reaching out to you or any other coordinators or volunteers within the department?
Yeah, there should be a link on the website, I believe, because I think that's a form, and the form comes, is it to you?
Pardon?
No, so the form to fill out a request form for the counseling service, I believe it comes to you.
Um, I've not been made aware of that, but
Oh,
I'll check it out and see how it works.
okay, sorry, I thought it came to you. But what you can also do, you can go to the website and then you're able to send an email as well. And you're able to send an email which comes to our inbox. So you're able to book a session as well, or you're able to inquire about a session. Does that answer your question? Oh, Christopher, sorry. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. So I would want to check out the website myself and see how it works. If what you said is actually true, if
Okay.
the form actually comes to me. Yeah. Mm. Mhm.
But if it doesn't come to you, that's okay because they're not commenting at the moment. But if you can also book a session through the website, through the email address, if anyone wants to book a session as well. Does anyone
All
have
right.
any other?
So maybe I'll just put your email in the chat so that maybe they could reach out to you or something.
That's fine. So what I'll do is I'll put the link. I'll drop the link because yeah, the form is in the. Oops. The form is on the website. So if anyone wants to book a therapy or a counseling session, you can just go to the website. If you go to well-being, and you're able to see, I'll put a link in this chat box in case anyone wants to go there. And I'd also share my screen to show you how you can go about booking as well. So that's the link. And I'm just going to share my screen. So if you go to the Life Beacon website, if you go to what we do and you go to our well-being programs, it will let you see what we have, and you're able to book now here, where you fill out this form. Does anyone have any other questions? Or would you want me to focus on something more, or?
I believe the webinar has been comprehensive so far, and I think they still have questions have been answered. And sorry about the background noise. My siblings are just beginning to. Yes. So and I think you also one thing that I think you didn't really touch so much on is um the utilizing resources that the school has, right? So I know at the university they have this guidance and counseling center where people could also um, go and seek counseling and therapy on various issues. I think it's quite similar to what LBI does, but depending on if you want like a face-to-face interaction, then maybe um, may want to maybe utilize the school services. But if you still want to utilize LBI services, yes, you're still welcome to book an appointment. Yeah, I don't know
Wait,
if
Christopher, no, come again. So what did you say? Sorry, that what was it that I didn't really touch on?
Uh, well, I was like, you did touch on the fact that we have to explore um, other avenues or seek help when it is needed. But I think we didn't really talk about utilizing immediate help, I mean, on the university campuses and other stuff. So that's why I chip in the fact that there is um, a career and counseling center at the university where they could go and seek like an in-person therapy or counseling session. But if they are indifferent between having it online or in person, then they could still reply what I said.
Okay. Yes. So thank you for highlighting that. If what I'm guessing everybody heard what you said, but thank you for highlighting that. That was a key distinction because I know some people like to have physical interaction, and I believe that within the university there are other avenues as well that you can go to if you need help or if you need support. Um, with us, with LBI, our current support in terms of counseling and therapy services, that's going to be online. But we also have other departments. So we have the mentoring department, we have the faith department, there are other departments as well that can help you. So it's just tailored to what you feel is your need and what it is that you want. I think earlier I also mentioned that if you have a unit of people that you can talk to or that you can hang around with, because I know some people, they could be very stressed, overwhelmed, or they may not be in the best headspace, but they don't want to talk. But sometimes being around people, have to talk to them, but just being around people sometimes can help as well, because it's very easy to get locked up or very isolated in life just doing what you're doing. Is there anything else that anyone feels you'd want me to touch on a bit more? or does anyone have any other questions? And please don't be shy. If you have any questions that you'd want to ask privately, that's fine. You can send me an email or you can send me a message as well.
So maybe Jonathan, any closing remarks? So it appears people do not have any additional questions or clarifications.
Okay. Yeah. So I think this has been a very insightful presentation. Personally, from my side, my takeaway would be the fact that we would have to be very intentional about our mental health, even as we juggle, um, academic with our personal life, activities. And on behalf of Live Beacon International, I would want to sincerely thank each of us for taking time out to be part of this webinar. And special thanks to our speaker, Miss Kemi Ojo Osaji. Please pardon me if I got your name wrong. um, yeah, for sharing such practical wisdom. And it's been a very heartfelt guidance. And we've learned a lot today. We hope we will be walking away with not just being informed, but inspired to actually prioritize what well-being actually is in our everyday life. So thank you all very much, and we look forward to having you all join us for future events. Yeah. Thank you very much once again, Miss Kenny. So
Oh,
on
no
this
problem
note,
at all.
sorry, come again, please.
No, I was just saying no problem at all. So the summit webinar is meant to end at, well, I'm an hour ahead, but it's meant to end. We still have about 15 minutes left. So I'm
Okay.
going to stay on for 15 minutes, even though we end, just in case anyone wants to ask questions, but they're not wanting the whole crowd or anybody. But feel free to leave if you don't have any other questions.
I, I think there's a question in the chat.
Okay. Okay, so I have a question of how do you deal with feelings of burnout or exhaustion, and what strategies do you use? What strategies do you use to recharge? So with burnout and with exhaustion, yes, it's very generic, but it's very personalized to you. So what might be causing my burnout might not be what is causing yours. And also what you might find recharging or what energizes you may not be the same as me. So at first, what I would say is you as an individual, what is it that you like to do? Think through the things that whenever I do this, I'm very happy or I feel very well rested or I feel re energized. And it could be it doesn't have to be anything very massive. It could be little things like when I hang out with this person, when I listen to this song, when I listen to this food. Sorry, when I eat this food, I feel this sort of way. And when you're feeling burnt out, when you're feeling exhausted, sometimes you just have to do those things a lot, like focus more on those things than what is actually causing your burnout or what has caused you to burn out, and do those things a lot and enough times before until you get to where you are. With burnout and with exhaustion, the thing is it's very individual, so there aren't time frames. It's not a guarantee that okay, within 1 week, if I just do this, or within 1 week, I'm going to recover. Sometimes with burnout, sometimes with exhaustion, it can take a lot of time for you to recover. It's very subjective. Some people it can take 3 days, some people it can take months, but it's just a case of now asking yourself, why did I get to this point? And it may not be one thing, it could be a number of different factors that led you to burning out. So, what you now want to start doing whilst you're burnt out is one, doing the things that you have identified that helps you to recharge enough or that helps you to feel re energized, but also taking it slowly and taking a break because once you're burnt out or once you're exhausted, it's harder to do things that you found easy to do. So, for example, let's say waking up in the morning and brushing your teeth is something that you do like clockwork. If you're burnt out, if you're exhausted, for instance, how it might appear for you is that to even just get up or get out of bed could be a lot of work. So, it's kind of like you have to detach yourself if you can from that thing or those things that are causing you to burn out to begin with, that are causing you to feel exhausted to begin with. Another way to deal with burnout is by breaking your tasks down into little steps. So if you're burnt out and if you're feeling exhausted, but you still have things to do, you still have deadlines, you still have obligations and responsibilities, what you can also do is just make a list of the things that you have to do, whether it's on paper, whether it's on your phone, whether it's mentally, and simplify it as much as possible. So break it down and ask yourself, in this task that I have to do, what is the smallest amount that I can do that would still make it enough? So if you can just put 20% of work, of energy in, and you'll still be fine, do that. Sometimes when you're doing tasks or when you're working, ask yourself, will this make a difference? Always do the best that you can do, but also ask yourself, will it make a difference if I put 20% energy or 100% energy? And if it doesn't really make that much of a drastic difference, I would always say reserve your energy as much as possible, especially when you feel burnt out, especially when you feel exhausted. So a few things I've just highlighted on there is just detach yourself from what is causing you to burn out or to feel exhausted if you can. And when you can, you should then take a break from it and just breathe a little bit from it, because if it's constant, you're not giving yourself the opportunity to heal. Another way that I've mentioned is obviously think about the things that help you to be energized, that help you to feel alive, that help you to feel like, oh, life isn't so bad anymore, and try and do that more and more often. And yeah, simplify your tasks as much as possible to help avoid it or to just help manage it until you're able to like recover completely and you're able to recharge. And if you're able to do additional things like go on holiday, so like go to another town, go to a beach, just doing something that just helps you to like just move away for a while, definitely do that. Or if something is causing you burnout or exhaustion and you can let go of it, even if you feel very attached to it. If you can let go, because if it's harming you and if it's not doing you any good, then there's no point. I hope I answered that question, Hillary, or do you have any follow-up questions from that?
I, there is another question from Gideon. Gideon
Yes.
Martin.
Okay. 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 I'm going to go to Gideon's question. I'm assuming, Hillary, are you okay with that, or do you have any follow-up question? Okay, you do. How can students balance their academic goals with their personal well-being and what sacrifices might be necessary for long-term success? Okay, so because that's a different link to a question, I'm going to answer Gideon's question and then I'll answer that if that's okay. So Gideon's question is, how do you combine work with studies, especially when you work for very long hours, not forgetting prioritizing good sleep? So what I would say is, am I right to assume that you're working and you're studying at the same time? I'll assume that's what it is. So what I would say is, saying what is important to you, like what are you able to prioritize, like, so when you look at your priorities, what is more important to you? Is it school or is it work, or is it both of them? Maybe it's the both of them in this instance. I would say have a review of what you have to do with school. And the reason I say school is because school has so many different fragments to it. So one lecture, what they're demanding, you can decide, you can do what that entails within, let's say, 2 hours or 3 hours. For another lecture, for another course, it might take 3 months for you to finish what it is that is required of you. So there isn't like set timings when it comes to with school or with universities, like all over the place. So I would say sit down and have, well, you don't have to sit down, but make an assessment of what are the courses that you're doing, how much energy or how much really entail from you to do these things. Because with work, I assume that you're working set times every day, every other day, or you have more of a structure in what is expected of you at work. And by the way, if I'm making wrong assumptions, please feel free to let me know. But I'm assuming that with work is more structured. So your time of work is more structured, even if it's long hours, what you're doing is more structured. But on the other hand, with university, everything is quite unequal. So I would say try and work what you have to do in university around your working life, in the sense that assess what it is that you have to do, allocate time. So when we're talking about earlier, like create a timetable for yourself based on how long you think it's going to take you to complete this lecture or to do this reading or to do that, and create a schedule for you in terms of school and incorporate it into your working life. Make your working life around it, or make your school life around your working life, because your working life has already set schedules. I hope I'm not confusing you. But also, you've mentioned about sleep. So it depends on how many hours you need to sleep in a day. So, yes, we always hammer on having good enough sleep, getting long enough sleep, and all of that. But for some people, 5 hours of sleep is fine for them. For some people, 8 hours is what they need. For some people, 12 hours is what they need. So it depends on how much sleep you think that you need in order to function fully, and just working everything around it. But in this scenario, I guess because you're working and you're working fixed hours, if you're not able to reduce your hours from work for whatever reasons, let's say your responsibilities and all of that, I would say look at how much sleep you need on average to be able to be happy and function well without feeling sleep deprived, and then take an assessment of what you have to do in university, what your workload is, and then sit down, map out a timetable, and just balance everything out as much as you can. And sometimes when I speak on balance, you can't make everything equal 100%, 100%, 100%. But that's when you then ask yourself, okay, what is priority now? In this month of July, work might be more priority. In August, school might be more priority because you have a deadline. So always make sure that your timetable is flexible enough to accommodate for what is needed and also what you need. Gideon, does that answer your question? Or do you have any further questions on that? Are you still there? Okay, so I'm going to just move on. Does anyone have any questions similar or surrounding to the question that Gideon asked me? Okay, I'll take that as a
Yeah.
no.
Hello.
I'm
I'm sorry.
okay.
Yeah. So I was trying to ask. I was coming to ask that. What would you advise a student to do in terms of like looking for a source of income that would be able to still balance it out in terms of studying and all that? So would you advise a student to go in for a business, or they should maybe do a job whilst balancing it out with academics so that they don't end up stressing themselves? Please, am I
So
making sense?
yes, you are. So are you asking whether to do a business or whether to do like a corporate, like a job?
Yeah, like a job. Maybe not corporate, maybe a restaurant, anything.
So what I would say in that regard is it's a personal decision, in the sense that how do you like to work if you've ever worked before? Do you like to be in control of what you're doing? So if you're starting a business, you're also in control of your time. That's going to require more discipline. And you're going to be working around the clock. So if you're working in a restaurant, or if you're working in a normal job whereby you're not the owner, you're working on the times they give you. So it's a decision that's personal, in the sense that how do you like to work? Do you like to be your own boss? Do you like someone else to tell you what to do? Do you just want quick money? Do you have the stock? Do you have the capital to start your own business? It's a very long-winded conversation, but I think it's you asking yourself, how do I like to work? What do I want for myself? So it's beyond just money. Like money really matters, but also there's no point. I mean, you can get money and still be very unhappy. You can get money, but the way you're getting that money makes you very unhappy, and that would have such a ripple effect on your mental health, your overall well-being, your academics, and all of that. So I think if you don't have to work and you're just thinking, okay, I want to start something, then you have that luxury of asking yourself, do I want to be under somebody's supervision or do I want to start something by myself? And also look at the opportunity cost that, okay, I have to commit X amount of hours or X amount of days in my week to my education, to my academics. If I'm to start working, whether it's your own business or whether it's you're working under somebody else's business, how much time is that going to take from me? And will I be able to balance it all? So it's sort of like you creating your own timetable as well, or listing out all the things that you do in a day to day or that is expected of you and see which one fits better. But also know that whatever decision that you make now, it doesn't have to be a full on concrete decision. It can always be trial and error. And it's a case where you still have your whole life ahead of you and you can change, you can decide, I want to start my business today. In 3 months' time, you can decide, no, I'm not doing this again. I'm going to work under somebody. Don't feel like any decision is the only decision. Does that help?
Yes, please. Thank you.
No, no problem at all. Okay, so I'm going to go to Hillary's question. How can students balance their academic goals with their personal well-being, and what sacrifices might be necessary for long-term success? So how can students balance their academic goals with personal well-being, and what sacrifices might be necessary for long-term goals, for long-term success? So what I would say is when it comes to your personal well-being, regardless of anything, it's non-negotiable. And why I say it's non-negotiable is you have to have good health, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, it's all together. You have to have good health to be able to do anything you want to do in this world, regardless, because you can decide you're thriving in your academics, you're thriving in your business, you're thriving in your work life, but if your health is not if it's not great at all, you can't even enjoy what you're thriving towards or what it is that you're doing. So I would always say that when it comes to your personal well-being, that one of the best ways to go about it is to pace yourself. Whatever you do, make sure you pace yourself in the sense that don't work to the point that you get burnt out. Those are two very crazy extremes that to recover from burnout and exhaustion will take more work than if you were just pacing yourself and doing little things. And little things in the sense that, okay, today you're going to say, I'm going to take a walk. Tomorrow, I'm going to move my body. The next day, I'm going to go and watch a movie. Or the next day, I'm going to talk to friends. Or I'm going to make sure that I sleep well tonight. So, what I would always say is personal well being in general is a non negotiable because if you have that wrong to begin with, it's going to spill over in the wrong ways to other things and areas in your life. So, as how I was speaking earlier, your brain health has to be intact in order for you to even do, in order for you to be able to process things, in order for you to be able to remember things, in order for you to like concentrate. So you have to focus on that first and pouring into yourself in just the smallest ways possible. Don't wait until you've hit rock bottom until you say, okay, I'm going to the hospital because I'm sick, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. I'm guessing we've all heard of prevention is better than cure. But also, the second part of your question, which it also says that what sacrifices might be necessary for long term success. So, one thing I would always say, and I wouldn't shy away from, as a university student, you're going to have to make a sacrifice. One thing at some point. So, it depends if you're in university and you're in university just for vibes and enjoyment, then do you. But also, if you're in university because you want to get good grades, you want to achieve certain things, that also comes at a cost. Whatever decision you make, whatever your purpose in school is, there's going to be an opportunity cost because some people don't go to university at all. They start their businesses, they thrive in their businesses, but the sacrifice they make is not going to university. So, whatever decision you make in life, sometimes it comes at a sacrifice. And a lot of times, being in university comes at a sacrifice to something else. So, you have to then ask yourself, what is it that is important to me? What is it that I want to achieve within this 3 years, this 4 years, this 5 years, or whatever amount of years you want to have in university. And by the time you start listing out what those things are that you want to achieve or that you want to attain, by default, you know that, okay, if I do this thing, that means I cannot do this thing. Or if I want to do this thing, I may not do as much of this other thing that I want. And that, in effect, is a sacrifice. So, success to everybody is interpreted so differently. Some people might think that success could be a house, could be a car, could be whatever. Success is so different. So, make sure you're asking yourself, what is success, and you're not being influenced so much by what society thinks success is, what your family thinks success is. Ask yourself, like, what is it that I want for my own self, and then work through that. And just also know that whatever it is that you're doing, there's going to be a degree of sacrifice. If you truly want it, you can have your cake and eat it and balance everything all at once, but that would mean, let's say you're giving everything 20%. If you want to give something 80%, that means something else is going to have to suffer. But when it comes to your well-being, when it comes to your health, you literally have to pour into your health and take care of yourself, because there is no point achieving whatever success you want to achieve or wanting to enjoy something if your health is not in there at all. It's going to be utterly useless at the end of the day. Hillary, does that answer your question? Okay, I think she's left. And then Gideon asked a question: can listening to music while learning improve memory, or it is just a distraction? That again, so I'm going to keep on saying that a lot of these things are personal. For some people, music is literally, some people, they cannot function without music, or they're not able to read or concentrate without music. Me personally, I can't concentrate if there's music. Like, it's too loud for me, especially if it's music that I like. But then that's a personal thing. Some people, if there's no music playing at all, they cannot concentrate, they can't read. Sometimes you're in a low mood and music just gets you pumped up to do what it is that you need to do. So music, if it works for you, it works for you. There isn't no right or wrong, in my opinion, when it comes to music. It becomes a distraction if the music is playing and you're not able to retain or recollect what it is that you want to, as much as you want to, or as quickly as you want to. And there are also different kinds of sounds. There's like how white noise helps you to sleep. There are certain sounds, so these are more so like instrumentals. They may not have lyrics, that actually help to calm your brain. So as you're reading, as you're working, as you're doing what it is that you need to do, playing those sounds or playing that form of music in the background actually sharpens your memory and improves your cognitive function. So it just depends on the type of music you're listening to, how loud you're listening to it. It's all based on you. If it works for you, it works for you. It doesn't have to be a distraction. Does that answer your question?
Yes, please.
Okay. Do you have any follow-up question from that? Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? Okay, so I will take that as a no. So Jonathan, I think we're okay. We're safe to end now, unless anybody has any other questions for me.
Yeah, so I think we assume we are okay so far with your presentation.
Okay.
So in the absence of Christopher, please, would you want to say something?
Um, well, I would like to thank Ms. Kenny for also trying to facilitate this webinar. I believe this is one of those important aspects of um, being a student. I mean, being human in general that most people shy away talking about. So I appreciate her taking time out of this so to facilitate this webinar. And I also do hope and believe that we have taken like various nuggets that would help us be more efficient and productive in whatever we do, being a student, working, or whatever. And so, thank you so much for helping us with the webinar. And also, thank everyone for joining. Yeah, Saturdays are meant for enjoyment, but you decided to come in. Listen to something. Yeah, so we thank you so much. Yeah, so you can take it away, Jonathan.
So thank you very much to Miss Kimi. We are so much appreciative of your time, sparing your time to actually host this insightful presentation. At least one way or the other, we are abreast with the fact that we have to make our mental health matter to us in our academic journey. And we look forward to future events like this too. Yeah. So I think in the absence of any comment, any question, maybe we would want to draw the curtains here. Yeah, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you all too. Thank you for listening. Again, remember if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. And then you can always go through to the website to book a session or get the email and also contact. So don't be a stranger. And also with LBI, there are other departments as well. So feel free to like also look at if there's anything you're struggling with or you need help with to go through to the other departments too. Okay, so I'm going to say bye now, and
All
I
right.
would wait for
Thank you
everyone
very
to leave
much.
the chat. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do either of you have any questions? I'm just about to end the chat.